All right, Dave, your turn. That's my transition.
Oh, that's it. Okay, great. Thanks. Nice transition, Brandon. All right. All right, let's move forward. Hard transition here, I guess. What I got, we're going to talk about, I mentioned we're going to talk about a little bit of oil. So I want to cover this. This is a headline that came out, and we could cover some of the implications of this. But the headline reads OPEC Plus makes another large oil output hike in market share push. So this came out just this morning at 3:03 a.m. That's August the 3rd at 3:03 a.m. How it reads, this is from London. OPEC Plus agreed on Sunday to raise oil production by 547 barrels per day. That's going to start in September. This is in a series of accelerated output hikes because they want to regain market share. They've lost market share over the year. And there's concerns over potential supply disruptions linked to Russia. You alluded to this earlier between India and Russia. We're going to get into that again here later on. And I've covered Kazakhstan. That's also included in this. I did what is it, about 10 minutes on a podcast about Kazakhstan and their oil production and why they were going against OPEC for a little bit. So this move marks a full and early reversal of OPEC Plus' largest tranche of output cuts that came earlier, amounted to about 2.5 million barrels per day. This was earlier in the year. So the eight OPEC Plus members had a brief virtual meeting. This is because increase in U.S. pressure on India to halt Russian oil purchases. So OPEC Plus is agreeing to produce more oil and let it flow into the market. That way, India has somewhere else to buy from. This is because they want to bring Moscow to the negotiating table for a peace deal with Ukraine. So President Donald Trump is putting huge pressure on OPEC Plus in order to get this done. That way, we could get some sort of peace deal out of it. That's the end result that we're looking for. So, in a statement following the meeting, OPEC Plus cited a healthy economy and low stocks as reasons behind its decision, which is also true. Oil prices have remained elevated since even as OPEC Plus has raised output. Brent crude closed near $70 a barrel on Friday. That's up from the 2025 low of $58 a barrel in April. Seasonal demand also has gone higher. So, supply goes up, demand goes up, prices typically go up, all given the same thing. So that's, $70 a barrel is pretty the sweet spot for the oil economy right now. It's great for them. So they're going to meet again September 7th when they're going to again consider reinstating those cuts that they had, maybe at least keeping 1.6 million barrels per day of what they agreed to earlier in the year, but it's kind of offset by these outputs. Brandon, first thoughts on this as I go into more detail. I just don't want to talk for 15 minutes. Go ahead.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if that brings Russia to the table.
Gotcha. Yeah, it
Well,
will. It will. I want to see if it actually does. If India, the key is getting India to buy from OPEC Plus instead of Russia. That's the key. So OPEC Plus, they pump about half the world's oil, and they had been curtailing production for several years to support oil prices ever since the drop in 2020. It reversed course this year in a bid to regain market share. Right? They wanted to get more of the market share. The U.S. Has done the drill baby drill policy, and so they've been pumping out oil. You've seen other areas. Russia's been trying to pump out oil to fund its war it currently has with Ukraine. So they've been pumping out oil. So there's been a lot of oil outside of the OPEC Plus. So in order for OPEC Plus to maintain its necessity, if you will, to maintain a reason why we care what they do, they have to produce more oil in order to maintain market share. Kind of makes sense, right? The market's been able to absorb these additional barrels without too much change in the oil price. So what they were looking at is OPEC releases extra oil output onto the market, and the cost of oil hasn't dropped down too much. So it's been holding steady, and so they're seen as a good thing, a positive for OPEC plus. OPEC Plus has, they passed us that first test of the cost of oil, but the next test is going to be harder, deciding if and when to unwind the remaining 1.66 million barrels of cuts that they had instituted, if they are going to unwind them at all. So the next meeting is September 7th. That's a big meeting as to where this is going to happen. Now, there's 10 non-OPEC oil producing countries that are sometimes go against OPEC plus, and that is most notably Russia and Kazakhstan. And these have caused issues for OPEC plus. Russia, due to its war, has had to do this, but Kazakhstan has increased their output because they, like I covered, they want to fund IT and other infrastructure and other areas of their economy and the country as a whole because that pulls in a lot of money for the country, and they're looking to find other ways to grow the economy outside of oil. So they're trying to increase their output so they can bring more money in the short term so that they can build universities to grow their IT and tech sectors of the economy and actually have a strong economy. We have yet to see the benefits of this, but again, it's only been going on for what, 6 months? Hasn't been going on a long time. You won't see benefits for something like this for at least 3 to 5 years to come. But in 3 to 5 years, if it is successful, you will see a booming economy that will really have its own influx of countries wanting to ship in cheap goods to it for purchase because you have a growing middle class if that happens. Brandon, final thoughts on that article.
So what do you think this is going to do to the price of oil?
Great question, because that was going to be my follow up to whatever you said. What I think is going to do to the price of oil, I think the price of oil will probably drop just a hair, but not much. It will drop a hair. So there's a lot of things going on here, right? You have companies that I'm losing my head here.
Chevron?
You have companies that have offshore drilling sites, right?
Okay.
You have companies that take care of offshore drilling sites. Those offshore drilling sites I thought were going to be huge because you had the biggest one ever launch. I bought the company. I thought it was going to really take off. It launched, it went into production, it's making money. But then they were losing money in elsewhere because in the Gulf, they were cutting back on their offshore drilling because they were able to utilize technology and actually get more of their onshore drilling wells. And then they could just put a cap on their offshore for now and then come back to it later when they run out of the onshore, which is producing it at a cheaper rate. And thus they're making more profit with the onshore due to technology. You had that big field that was found in Montana. I reported on that I think that was late last year, in the fall of last year. That one still has to go into production as well. So you have a lot of onshore drilling that's taken away from the offshore drilling, which is one thing I was going to talk about coming up on this week's earnings. You have Rig reporting that's Transocean on Monday before the bell, and we're actually expecting them to report a loss. So they're actually going to lose money coming up, and that's because of the effects of offshore drilling that we're seeing and more onshore drilling. So overall, though, this OPEC, I think we should have. It's hard because the economies are staying strong, but everybody's saying European economies and South American economies are weakening, and thus, if that is true, then you should see the price per barrel come down. If that is true, because
Yeah.
the economy should slow down in those areas, and then the price per barrel should come down, especially with this extra supply, especially Russia trying to put out as much as possible to make money. You'll see the price per barrel come down. Now, the caveat to that is the U.S. economy is running hot. It's running well, I don't know hot. It's running warm, right? We're in a positive formation right now, and you have Russia really not stopping the pumping out their oil. So those two things in combination, and whether or not India actually does make the deal of OPEC or not, has a big effect on this whole situation because India uses a lot of oil. Will they take the deal of OPEC over Russia? That has a big effect. It's going to have a big effect on the price per barrel. So if things stay the same, India's contracts stay the same, and it's just the European economy slowing down, South America's economy slowing down, then you'll see a small drop in the price per barrel, which
Okay.
is going to hurt profits. You have ConocoPhillips also reporting later on this week. I actually don't have that on my list here, but they report later on this week. That'll be one thing to listen to their earnings call, see what they have to say about that the Russia India deal and how big of an effect that's going to have on everything.
Sure.
All right. Next news is dun dun dun. I told you I was going to talk about this, Brandon, and so here we are. This is the headline. Now it goes into you can have a broader discussion from this headline or not. It's up to you. The headline reads, Rail customers urge regulators to block the Union Pacific Norfolk Southern deal. There's a lot of people who want this deal blocked. The concern is that if you allow Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern to go ahead and have this merger take place, it will create the first U.S. coast to coast freight rail operator and quote unquote reshape the movement of goods from grains to autos across the country. They would have a combined enterprise value of 250 billion and would unlock about 2.7 billion in annualized synergies, the companies have said. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer criticized the merger, saying the deal would push us even further down the road of dangerous consolidation and monopoly power. This is a hostile takeover of America's infrastructure. Brandon, first thoughts. I mean, do you think it's a good deal? Do you think it should go through? And then we could talk about how it would affect one way or another afterwards.
Yeah, probably should go through. I mean, I'm not really all of that, educated on the rail, industry here in the United States and how
Oh,
much,
you used the broker. You did broker for a while.
yeah, I did. But
Great.
as far as like how much of it is government regulated and how easy it is for other companies to, get into the industry, I don't know how that,
Hard. Very,
yeah,
very
I'm
hard.
sure it's very capital intensive, but I wonder
Yes.
regulations they have to abide by. If he's concerned so much about monopoly, then generally the answer to that is to deregulate. That, I mean, honestly,
Generally.
I mean, how many times have you actually seen a monopoly in a free market system? You have
Hardly.
a monopoly in
I almost said hardly ever. Then I remember Standard Oil and U.S. Steel.
yeah, I wouldn't call
Late
it, but a
1800s, early
lot of that was
1900s.
still regulatory monopolies, and it really wasn't all that much of a monopoly either. There was still competition, and it just, everybody talks about monopolies and
The
capitalism.
Vanderbilts
And
had a monopoly on the railroads.
again, you could look at government regulation that has, that help them monopolize and being in the government's pocket and everything. You just hardly ever see in a real free market system, like the monopoly is like the Yeti. Everybody says it exists, but nobody actually really sees it or proves its existence. Generally, monopolies evolve when the government mandates the monopolies.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, but it's still not really like there's still competition there, right? They're just
There,
better than everybody else.
fair enough.
And
Fair
if
enough.
anybody ever really does become a monopoly in anything, it doesn't last that long
All right. All
in a
right.
free market.
So, are you buying or selling any of the railroads because of this?
No,
All right.
but I am thinking about it. I do want to look into the deal and see if Norfolk would be a good purchase. I want to see if,
Berkshire Hathaway has
again,
said that has said a week and a half, or no, it was a week ago. A week ago, this deal was not going to happen, and now here we are, still a week later, talking about it.
yeah, and yeah, that's the other thing too. Like how much of
They denied it on a public statement, and here we are, a week later, still saying this deal's going through.
yeah. So what's the likelihood of the Department of Justice or whoever it is jumping in and saying we're going to block this deal? I don't think I would buy it really. I don't. I want less controversy, less political controversy in my purchases when I'm looking at these deals, and I want all cash deals. I don't know if this is an all cash deal or not.
No, it's not.
Right. Okay.
Especially if Berkshire's involved, it's definitely not
Right.
because they're the one being bought out.
Yeah.
Um, all right. You ready for earnings? Earnings this week. Here we go. Monday before the bell. Brandon owns his stock. Palantir had a new all-time high. What's it going to report tomorrow morning before the bell? Kind of interested in seeing that. Monday also, Rig is the reporting. I comment on that. Transocean, they're expected a loss due to not needed. They're just not needed as much right now. One I'm interested in because I've bought and sold Nova Nordis, Eli Lilly. I've traded these weight loss drugs before is Hims. Hims is reporting before the bell. I'm not interested in buying and selling Hims. What I'm interested in is seeing what they have to say about their compounded drugs. I've covered that on the show. I want to see what they have to say if they're still selling them, how they're getting around the FDA saying you can't sell them, and what impact that actually had to their bottom line. That's what I'm looking at with Hims on Monday morning before the bell. Tuesday, I mean, jump in anytime you want to, Brandon. Tuesday after the bell, AMD's reporting. That's a big AI play. Want to see about their chips, what they have going on, and super microcomputers. Just because I love talking about crypto and everything going on with that as well. Wednesday before the bell, Disney. That's Brandon's. He loves talking about Disney. Wednesday before the bell, you're going to see that. What does Bob Iger has to say, and is he going to try to hand off the company again? And who will it be? We'll see. Three times the charm, right?
Right.
Um, Thursday before the bell, Constellation Energy is one I wrote down here, and why it's a nuclear power plant deal. And with the current administration, data centers, and the combination of those two things pushing for nuclear energy, this was a one that jumped up specifically 2 weeks after Brandon called it out on a podcast. It was down, and then Brandon called it out, and it jumped up. This is a chinchilla pick and push. That's what I call it. Um, and I want to see how's it doing now. What is it? Is it still hot and heavy for about the future, or are we tamed out? The fire is kind of dimmed a little bit. I want to see what it has to say. Also, Thursday before the bill, Eli Lilly. They have the drug pipeline. One drug I covered on this show in their pipeline, I want to get an update on, and that is their cholesterol drug. Remember, they have a cholesterol drug that's in the pipeline, in the works right now, that after 4 months gets rid of 96% of all bad cholesterol out of your body. Crazy. And I want to see where's that at in the pipeline? Is it still moving along? And if it is still moving along, how soon before this can be commercialized to sell? That's what I'm looking at for Eli Lilly. Plus, weight loss drugs. I like talking about those on here because it's fun.
Yeah.
Because Brandon thinks it's, a gimmick, but it's not, Brandon. These drugs have been out on the market for over 10 years
To
now.
be fair, up until Novo Nordisk, every other weight loss drug was a gimmick. It
Fair
was.
enough. Fair
So
enough. All right. After the bell on Thursday. This one I put in here just because you have two older gamers, if you will, on the show. Take Two Interactive. And I wrote as a note, this is my literal note here is we love gaming. uh, Take Two Interactive, that would be your Grand Theft Auto and your Red Dead. Let's see. Are they ever going to release Grand Theft Auto?
I guess we'll find out.
We'll find
I
out.
don't understand it, man. Hulk Hogan's dead, Ric Flair's still alive somehow, and GTA 6 still doesn't exist.
Go figure that out. And then Friday, Fubo TV, there were hints of deals and not deals and deals and mergers and things going bankrupt. And Fubo TV is still around, and they
You
report
know,
earnings on Friday.
I would like I don't get that, and I also don't get like how Sirius XM satellite radio is still around.
Yeah,
But you know what?
seriously.
And Warren Buffett invests in it
Yeah,
in Sirius XM.
yeah.
I would if I ever got that like $1 billion lunch with Warren Buffett or whatever it is, that's my first question. Why do you have Liberty Media and why do you own Sirius XM stock? I don't understand it.
Seriously. And how is Fubo TV still around? I
Yeah,
will find out on Friday.
right.
That's all the earnings I have written down. There's tons of earnings out there. Again, I say this every week now because I got called out for it. There's a lot of other earnings out there. These are just the ones I found interesting, the ones I found to be highlighted. So, follow your earnings, do your research, and do that. Brandon, final thought.
I buy ASML. Interseas is a good one. The therapeutics company I can't even pronounce the name of. What did I tell you it was, Dave, prior to
Halodyne.
this? Ticker symbol's Halo. Halozyme Therapeutics, I think, is a buy, but Dave will tell us next week.
I'm gonna look into it, and we're gonna see what's going
Right,
on with it and what's
right.
happening, and I'll let you know one way or another. On Friday, all the oil stocks were trending down, probably because they saw this news happening. So were the financials. Everybody was trending down. Bitcoin was going down. but good opportunity to buy in if you didn't buy into Bitcoin earlier, Brandon.
It,
And then
well, go ahead. You finish. I got one more thing for you, but
all right. But I don't have any calls for this week. I'm just holding the same position as I am. But please do your research, especially in earnings season. The few weeks that there's like a billion companies reporting earnings every single week. Make sure you do your research. You're not just trying to buy the news because most people sell the news. So be careful of that.
right. Palantir on earnings is very, very volatile. If this takes a large dip tomorrow morning, start your position.
There you go. Brandon, make a call. Look at that. Yes. Nice. I love to hear that. All right. So, as always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.